Okay, good evening. So today we can take the CPU architecture, the basic diagram of a CPU architecture. So as example, we can take a dual core processor. So we can draw down the processor such like that, the basic diagram. So we can draw down the processor such like that, and this is the processor. And as for example, we took a dual core processor. So in the processor inside there are two cores located inside this CPU, and we can draw down that two cores such like that, and this is the CPU and these are the two core located inside the basic CPU. So we can imagine there's a virtual core holding those two cores inside the processor. So that core we can draw down such like that, and this is the basic diagram of CPU. So and we can name that two cores, and these are the cores. And you know that there's a volatile memory as act as RAM inside processor, this cache memory. So there are three types of cache memory inside the processor. So we can name them by L1 cache, that's a level 1 cache, and the level 2 cache, and the level 3 cache. Let's look about the level 1 cache. Where's the level 1 cache located? So we can locate, and we can write down, can note that and these are the level 1 cache. We can name those cache by lines, and we can name those caches. So as a level 1 cache. So also these caches are called as on-chip cache, and because these caches are located inside cores, so we name those caches as on-chip cache. And basically and there are another two types of cache. So and where is the level 2 cache located? And we can locate the level 3 cache by the blue line I draw there, and it is a level 2 cache, and it is located in the virtual core that we drew down there, holding as two cores. So this cache can be named as a level 2 cache, and we can name this as a level 2 cache. And so this is another type of cache named level 3 cache, and we can mark that cache as there. And this level 3 cache located in the basic CPU and the most outer area of the CPU. So the basic outer physical area. So and this cache can be named as level 3 cache. And now you know that this is a CPU, and there are two cores because we are taking example as dual core processor. So and these are cores, and these are the level 1 cache, and we also call them as on-chip cache because they are located inside the cores in the CPU, because they are the most important cache. And the level 2 cache and the level 3 cache, because I told that the level 1 cache is more important because the level 1 cache is the most speeded and most immediately accessible cache to the processor. You know that the basic diagram, I'll explain the advanced diagram later. So there's a level 1 cache and the level 2 cache and level 3 cache. And in this cache, the actual role of a cache is that we know that RAM. So the processor loads data to the RAM and gain data from the RAM, and actually this cache do a very significant role in CPU, and the data taken from they took from the RAM, they temporarily store that data on those cache, and actually that process significantly speeds up that whole process, because that that if the processor and the ALU and the control unit CU takes directly data from the RAM, so this unique speed, and that CPU bus, and the CPU bus is the bus that connects RAM and the CPU, and the data transfer speed is that FSB front side bus. And so we can take that bus speed as the speed if this CPU and the CU gets the data directly from the RAM. But in the cache memories, they stores the RAM's data as some kind of load in this cache, and the processor searching for the data. So the processor means actually the CU, the control unit. So they are looking for the data, and first of all they're looking for the data in the level 1 cache, because it's the nearest to the CPU actually means CU. So if the if the relevant data is not available in this level 1 cache, and this L1 cache miss, so when I look about a missed in a cache, so actually as example, the CU search for variable X. So first of all, the CU first looking for that variable X in that level 1 cache. So isn't it not available in the cache 1? So we call it as a cache 1 miss, and generally commonly we call that as a cache miss. So secondly, he's looking in that variable X in that level 2 cache. So if even it's available in the level 2 cache, so the CU thirdly look in that variable X in that level 3 cache, and even if that variable X isn't available in the cache 3 and this is totally a cache miss, so the relevant data, I mean that variable X is not in the cache totally not came to the cache, and that's the cache miss. We call a cache miss as that the relevant data isn't available in the cache. So as a solution, the CU directly search that variable X in the RAM random access, and you have a basic idea about cache and the CPU and the level on cache. So now that that's the basic structure and the basic diagram of CPU, and we can point out what are the components in a single core. So this is the dual core, 2 cores. There are 2 cores, so we can take what are the components included in a single core. So that is basically what's happening in the CPU. So and we can take that and yes, and we can draw down the core. I think that we can name that as the core 1. We can name the core 1, and basically there are 3 components, and there is the most significant and the most important component in the CPU that names as we name as, that is the CU. That control unit. So and you know that is the control unit. And there's another component named ALU. So you know that ALU, and what is done in the ALU, and we don't know. ALU means that arithmetic logical unit. So in the arithmetic logical unit, then, and this is the unit who does the role relevant to the arithmetical process and logical process. And as example, so the CPU wants to multiple that two variables, I think that as example, so variable x and variable y. So the CPU wants to multiple that x and y, so that process is done in the ALU because it's an arithmetic process. And another process is going on that ALU, that is called the logical process. And you know that the CPU has the binary values, so in the binaries we can take lots of logic gates, and you know that, and get or get XOR and NAND, NOR, and so many gates there. So the arithmetic logical unit, in the logical unit are relevant to the name, so that unit has that logic gate process. So and the arithmetic logical process are handled in that ALU. And there's another component, the basic component in that CPU, that is called registers. So the very important role in CPU that registers does. The register does a very important role. So there are various types of registers, but we know as a commonly it's the basic diagram, so we should take register as the common component, that's registers. So this is the core one, and there are three principal units, the principal components of a CPU, so that those are called CU, that control unit, registers, and ALU, that's arithmetic and logical unit. So these are the principal components of an CPU. So you have to remember, you have to get the basic idea to your mind, and don't memorize those, because it is very hard to understand the processes in the CPU, because they're very logical and they're very practical. So you don't need to memorize those, you have to understand what's happening and what's the real process in the CPU. So that's the way to learn the technology. So you don't have to memorize, okay? And don't memorize books, don't read all of the books you don't have to, because this is not the way to learn the real technology and technical methods. You have to understand what's happening, and always you can ask the question, why is this happening, why is this CU, why is the CU located there? So for why registers are there, so and why are arithmetical logical unit does such like basic role. So that's the control unit, and this control unit act as a policeman in the CPU and the traffic control. So all the traffic in the CPU is controlled in that CU and controlled by that CU, and every instruction flow, instructions. So every instruction, and firstly and the primarily, they're given to the CU, the control unit. So the control unit is the policeman, the traffic manager in the CPU. So you have to remember, and we can classify that by the CU act as a policeman in a CPU. The CPU is a central process unit, that, and you know that the basic components, so the principal components of a CPU. Now you know that CU, registers, and LU. So there are various types of registers, so we can talk about that later. So now you have to get understand, you have to remind, you have to understand, you have to get the basic idea about the CPU. So you know that there's a single core and the principal units of CPU. So, and what is CU, what are registers, what is ALU, the arithmetic and logical unit, what is done there, and totally you have to get the basic idea about CPU. Okay, and I think that you got some relevant idea about the CPU, the basic structure. So I'll catch you later by about the add-ons and the real diagram of a CPU from the second tutorial. So goodbye, thank you all of you. Okay.